echoes of Councilmember Paul.
Yeah, I guess.
Good evening. Welcome to the January 16th City of Oldsmar Council meeting. It is 7 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Thank you all for coming out and all these beautiful smiling faces. I appreciate you coming out. We're going to get started with our invocation and our pledge allegiance to the flag. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come humbly before you to ask your divine guidance and help in our deliberations this evening. Bless the members of this council and the citizens that are present. We pray that our work this evening will find favor in your sight. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom.
Welcome, Mayor.
Greatly appreciate that. We're going to start out. Next item on our agenda is the Oldsmar Citizens Open Forum. Each speaker will be recognized once. Will be limited to 5-minute presentation on any subject. Please state your name and address for the record. The open forum will conclude at 7:30. And Mary Ann, you're going first. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Cruz, 1708 Ironwood Court East, Oldsmar, Harbor Palms. I'm here representing Oldsmar Historical Society. I just want to tell you about our 2023 year of programs that we had, successful programs. This is the past year where we turned 20 years ago as a 501(c) nonprofit organization. We thank you for recognizing us with a proclamation last spring. We also honored our first president, Loretta Wynett. We had 3 historical home walking tours this year. We had a lot of participants in the walks. Local residents also opened their personal homes for these tours. Members and guests participated in a behind-the-scene tour of Tampa Bay Downs. Tampa Bay Downs recognizes R.E. Olds by having the Oldsmar Cup race on the closest Sunday to when R.E. Olds brought the 37,541 acres to start Oldsmar. They live in Hillsborough County, but they still like coming over to Oldsmar. In October, we had the Great American Teach-In, which provides an opportunity for our OH volunteers to share Oldsmar's history with the local students. Volunteers Ken Sidorich and Jerry Anatosi spoke to 14 classes on that day. Our mayor spoke to students at both Forest Lakes and Oldsmar Elementary Schools. In November, Charlie Lister III, son of the former Mayor Bud Lister, spoke at a fall meeting of Growing Up in Oldsmar. In December, we served refreshments for the participants of the Oldsmar Christmas tree lighting. We served 500 cookies and several gallons of lemonade that night. Mark your calendars, because our next program will be the history behind R.E. Olds Park and Veterans Park on Saturday, February 3rd, 2024 at 10 a.m. We will meet at R.E. Olds Park. This should be an exciting program.
Thank you, Mary Ann. The reason why Mary Ann had to go first is they're having a dinner tonight for the women's club, so she's heading out for that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mary Ann. Anybody else would like to speak on this side of the room to the council?
Wait, I got a few more
Oh,
things.
sure, okay, go ahead.
Not
Your
quite
timer's
done.
going.
I wanted to share with you our OHS newsletter that is published quarterly. Our editor is Ken Sidorich, and the publisher is Impact Graphics. We have our calendar of events on there and a historical moment in the newsletter, and we've been getting a lot of compliments from it. Please consider joining our OHS team. We need members and we need volunteers. You only need to serve an hour and a half per month as a volunteer. You can visit our museum on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. till 2, 6 to 7 on council meetings night. We're on Facebook. We have a website, oldsmarhistoricalsociety.org, and you can write us at ohs34677@gmail.com. Thank you. Enjoy the magazine.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Good job.
Mary Ann.
All right, anybody outside the room would like to speak to the council? Vince, you want to come up?
Vince Albanese, 404 Jefferson Avenue South. Comments I'm about to make here are directed at process and certainly not any people, out of respect for everybody volunteering here. I went back, citizen engagement's a perpetual goal for the council, and that open dialogue is based on trust. I went back and looked at I was disturbed at the last meeting about some things, and I wanted to mention 3 specifics. I went back and watched the video again today. These are the kinds of things that I don't feel that we're getting feedback from the council on. Stanberry Development files in and gets 5 minutes of the public comments. They express continued interest in a July letter that we haven't seen. The quote from them is that they're disheartened that GAI lost their messaging. So what is the public supposed to do with that information? And I was disappointed that no one in the comments said that they would work to volunteer to address that on behalf of the citizens. It's very confusing. Another thing is that we presented the business of the quarter to one of my favorite restaurants, a great local business with a good family, but the business is not located in the city of Oldsmar. So I didn't see hear any discussion about that. I thought we could have done a better job. We have a lot of struggling restaurants and businesses in the city, and I thought that was not inappropriate for them, but might have been addressed better on behalf of the other businesses, particularly restaurants inside of the city. And I've actually met some, with the restaurants closing, it's a personal thing for many. Another thing I was disappointed in was the lack of discussion. Forward Pinellas was described as the land use and planning. It's a hot button for residents. And while I have tremendous respect for the council member that got the position, when the male volunteered, the opportunity was taken from him and handed to someone else. Already serving on twice the number of external committees with a young family, a responsible full-time job, and city responsibilities. And so while that person is eminently qualified to do this, there was no discussion about it. And I did go back and review the attendance records for PSTA, the Regional Planning Council, Forward Pinellas, and the Forward League of Cities for last year. And this is a big commitment. We have a lot to do within the city. So those kinds of things, I think, just bear more discussion. Again, I'm talking process, not individual, not personal here. And Forward Pinellas in particular, if you take it out of context, my take on the last meeting and my suggestions as to what the council can do to engage the public better. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else on this side of the room? Come on up.
Hello, Pam Settle, 439 Lakeview Drive. I'm here tonight as a voter, as one of 1,489 voters, or 54% of the voters, who voted for Jared Buckman in 2022. So I'm addressing, unfortunately, the empty seat tonight because Jared's not with us. So first I want to acknowledge, from the citizens' point of view, that I know we're here in this situation tonight to appoint a temporary replacement because the state legislature changed the requirements for financial disclosures in the middle of his term. They did not allow for a grandfather clause, which updated these requirements and didn't seem to mind that cities would be disrupted, and cities are disrupted all across the state of Florida. Some are in our situation replacing one, and others, like St. Pete Beach, are replacing 4 out of 5. So I think it's unfortunate that we're in this situation. And these people are resigning not because they have anything to hide, but because some people's jobs require them to have a certain level of privacy. This new rule doesn't necessarily fix the issue. People with wealth will still be able to hide their money. It's those who are employed by private employers who sign contracts that they will not disclose their salaries publicly. Every private employer that I've ever worked for has required my confidentiality in this regard. And so I understand all too well why Jared Buckman was forced to choose between serving his community and maintaining his employment to support his family. So while nothing can change this scenario now, it's unfortunate that we have lost a dedicated and hardworking city leader in an elected capacity. So as a voter, I was not disappointed in his leadership, and in fact, I was incredibly impressed by his level of dedication. And so I'm here tonight to say thank you as a voter, as a citizen, to Jared Buckman for his service, for his hard work, his creative ideas, his commitment to ethical government, his desire to have citizens engaged in the process of city government, and his willingness to explore new ideas. I'm sorry that we had to lose him midway through his term, and I know that he'll continue to work on behalf of the city in a non-elected capacity. So former Councilman Buckman, wherever you are, thank you for your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Anybody else on this side of the room would like, come on up.
My name's Don McCurdy. I live at 653 Timber Bay Circle West, Oldsmar. And my favorite subject is enforcement of our traffic laws in this town. I first want to thank you that since the meeting in the 19th of December, I've seen 4 or 5 incidents where police have stopped and arrested people or gave warning tickets, whatever. And prior to that, in years, I talked to my neighbor, we haven't seen anything go on, so maybe something good's coming out of this. Simple things like parking on the sidewalks. Our sidewalks are supposed to be for our citizens to walk their dogs, their kids to play, whatever. In my neighborhood, I can count anywhere, depending on the day, 6 or 7 cars blocking the sidewalks completely. I brought this up before. It seems rather simple. Give them a ticket. One of our questions was, how do we get enough money for enforcement? And I was listening to the TV a while back, and St. Pete was granted a bunch of money, like $50,000, to work on bicycles and pedestrian enforcement in one of the areas down there. I don't remember exactly, but if there's money available like that, we should be getting some so we can do better. The electric signs that we use for the Armadillo Run and things like that, I hope they belong to the city, and if they do, couldn't we put them up with a notice that traffic stops violations are worth X amount of money? I don't know how much it is. I was going to ask, but we didn't have time. But I know they're not cheap, and maybe if these people understand that it's going to cost them a lot of money to not stop at stop signs, maybe they will start. I don't know. The one thing I did notice on a different subject, there's a lot of homes showing up for sale in the neighborhood that I see. There were last year we had nothing there. All of a sudden I see homes everywhere up and down Shore Drive and around Timber Bay. And I'm wondering if that's a problem with our insurance, and should we investigate what's motivating these people and see if we can put pressure on the state to solve this. If it is an insurance problem, maybe the state can do something about it. And last but not least, it's fall, the leaves are coming down. If we could get them vacuumed up a little sooner so they don't pollute the bay, we might reduce some of our red tide and pollution problems. That's it.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to come up and speak to the council? All right, we're going to move to this side of the room. Anybody? Come on up.
Good evening, Council. 374 Carlinassi, 374 Ventura Drive in Oldsmar. This is awards season. Last night it was the 75th Annual Emmy Awards, and on January 23rd, it's the Academy Awards. Tonight, here in Oldsmar, it's the George Bailey Courage Awards. For those that may not be familiar, George Bailey was the main character in the classic movie It's a Wonderful Life. George spent his life helping the people of Bedford Falls to prosper and to make their town a great place to live, work, and play. Potter tried to buy him out. He used all kinds of tricks and dirty tricks and lies, Tried to buy him out. He even offered him a job to get him out of the way. Thankfully for the town, George turned him down and was able to keep helping the people of Bedford Falls. In the end, George is surrounded by the citizens of the town and appreciated for all he did in keeping the charm in Bedford Falls. If it hadn't been for George and the courage that he showed against Potter, the town would have been renamed Pottersville after that town bully. So tonight, we are pleased to present the George Bailey Courage Awards. This year's awards go to Councilmember Katie Gannon, Vice Mayor Andrew Knapp, and Councilmember Steve Graber. They are honestly and honorably serving the city of Oldsmar in spite of the obstacles and misinformation put out by the town bully and his minions. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do for the city of Oldsmar. If not for you, Oldsmar could end up just sounding like another old farm. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak to the council? Come on up.
Hello, Council. Jillian Watson, 300 Lafayette Boulevard, Oldsmar. I'll keep saying it. Keep my speed bumps, please. People don't stop at stop signs. We watch it every day. And our community is a community. We care for each other. We watch out for each other. That's why people move here. That's why people spend their time here. Today, as my dog ran down the street, many people helped. Amber helped. Amber Stevens is one of the applicants tonight to fill our council seat, and I just want to speak upon her character. She is my neighbor, my friend. She is trustworthy. She is honest. She'll bring a perspective of the community to the chamber. She's not flash and dash. She's not going to go and change the world, but she's going to be a level head to bring a positive service to our community, and so I just wanted to speak on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak to the council? Come on up, Jerry.
Good evening, Council. Jerry Beaverland, 512 Pine Avenue South. Two things. Everybody's going to want to join the Historical Society once it moves over to the library. I'll guarantee it. You'll have all kind of people wanting to join. Number two, I think his name is Robert Doherty and not Robert Dowdy. The big hand we're talking about. If you don't want it, bring it to my yard. I'll take it. Robert Doherty, I think it's Doherty, was a
Artist.
pardon me.
Was he an artist?
He was a sculptor here in town.
Yeah.
He had he was out here on State Street.
Right.
He did a couple of busts of council people and a mayor. I have one in my yard. So if you don't want to keep the hand that he did, don't destroy it. Bring it to my yard, and that's fine, but why destroy it? Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Anybody else on this side of the room like to speak to the council? All right, with that, I'm going to close the Oldsmar Citizens Open Forum. Our next item on the agenda is the community minute, and that will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Join city officials and members of Operation Jack's Village for a ribbon-cutting ceremony to officially open the newest amenity for the Oldsmar community, a fitness challenge course. This will be held on Saturday, February 3rd, 10 a.m. Mobley Bayou Wilderness Preserve. Share your thoughts on public art in the city of Oldsmar. Everyone has different ideas about public art, what styles they like, where it should be located, how important it is. The city's Public Art Task Force wants to hear your ideas, concerns, aspirations for future planning. Responses must be received by Tuesday, January 30th, and please visit our website to locate the survey. And that is it.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is approval of additional new agenda items, number 5, 6, and 10. I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion, second? Second. I have a motion, and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is the consent docket, and this will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Item 1, approve minutes of January 2nd, 2024 council meeting. Item 2, approve payment to legal counsel for December 2023 legal services. Item 3, approve payment of December 2023 legal services to Bartlett, Loeb, Hens, and Thompson, PLLC for Eric Seidel's litigation defense. Item 4, authorize the city manager to advertise ITB 2024-004 for the Water Reclamation Facility Control Building construction.
Thank you very much. Does anybody wish to pull any item from the consent docket?
No.
All right, with that, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second in a discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is approve reappointments of regular members. Dale, I'm going to say it wrong, Bigot, Mark Brill, John Mastermarchi, John Rucker, and Frank Chicola to the Veterans Advisory Board. Is there anybody here? You want to come on up? Mark? Mark's here? I like that hat, Mark. Mark, thank you for your service to the Veterans Advisory Board. We, I speak for the council, we appreciate everything you do for the city of Oldsmar. We really do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
No, it's, we appreciate your support on things that we vote on, keeping the city, the Veterans Park up and running and looking good, and with the Parks and Recreation Department. And also, they're doing a fantastic job. And once again, just thank you.
Our Memorial Day ceremony this year and our Veterans Day ceremony were outstanding. I don't think I've saw a larger crowd since I've lived here, and I'm just very grateful for you and your board members and all the team and hard work you do for us. I'm really grateful. Anybody like to add anything to Mark?
Same, absolutely. Thank you, Mark, for your long-standing service.
Thank you, man. Okay,
All right, I need a motion
the
to
world.
approve.
So moved.
Got a motion? Have a second? Any other discussion?
Mayor, I have
Oh, yes,
a point of discussion.
sure.
Seeing that this is all 5 members or regular members of the board basically on the same cycle right now, I would like to maybe have a discussion about the potential of having either 2 or 3 of them stagger and try to get it to where if they were all to be finishing their terms at the same time. Obviously, that's not the case tonight, to where
Well,
they're all willing to serve, to where if we could get 2 to start in like shortened terms of
I
2
was
years.
actually surprised that we're all being reappointed tonight, because I know we all started at different times. The only 2 that are on the board that started at the same time was Frank and myself.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
So
It's
I
right
did-
now, by reappointing them all at the same time, we're giving them 4 years out, to where then we'd be doing this dance again all together with 5 members versus
you know,
other
I
boards
guess
tend to be
that would be up
staggered.
to the clerk to look, to back down, actually, when, I know we all weren't appointed on the same day. So if you want to defer back to appointing it on the dates that we were originally
Started or.
originally
began.
started, so technically today would be Frank and myself. And the other 3, like says John, and I forget who the other one is, Dane, I guess. They're all appointed on different dates, so, I mean, I'll accept our nominate for myself and Frank for today, but on the other ones, if you want to just revisit that,
Yeah,
and
we-
that would correct it.
Go ahead.
So the term of expiration I have for these, and I've checked, is January 2024 for all 5.
So perhaps we could move tonight to reappoint them all and then adjust their terms retroactively at a later meeting?
Or you can just do it prospectively. So
Yeah.
they finish these terms, and the next set of terms, you would do 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, or something like that.
Okay.
That's an idea. Do you guys, we
So
could
do we need to
do-
adjust the motion that's on the floor right now, or are we fine as is?
I think you're fine as is, you're gonna appoint all five of them, otherwise you're not gonna have, you're not gonna have a full board.
Right, we have to have a full board, so,
So we just need to have a separate agenda
But
item,
how-
and a
how
follow-up
would
meeting
you-
to make an adjustment?
How would you adjust the other ones after the 4-year term, though? If you're gonna, you'd be saying that somebody would have a 3-year term and a 2-year term, and then have a reappointments then, or whatever, to stagger the appointments to the board.
So how will we accomplish that, Tom?
It would be done by resolution, and we would just pick seats if
So
you
we-
wanna do it that way, and then we could do it.
Okay, so that's something we could probably add to the tentative, if, I don't know if it's too soon, if we need to give ourselves a little time.
Well, if one of the council members wants to come, we have a meeting, I believe, on the 24th. A Veterans Advisory Board is coming up on the 24th, so if you want to come and maybe address it at that meeting or whatever, so everybody's on the same page.
I think probably we could have the clerk communicate on behalf of the council, and then
Whatever,
address it.
whatever your pleasure.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve everyone. So I have a first and a second. Any other discussion besides that, Vice Mayor?
bringing that up.
Yep, yeah, thank you for bringing it up, Vice Mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
All right, item 6, reappoint of regular members Suda, Pam Aramolo, and Tatiana Cox Lopez to the Leisure Services Advisory Board. Is anybody here? Nope. No one is here. Do we want to just approve it? We can just approve it, right? I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion on this?
One tiny side point.
Yep.
Should we perhaps examine a resolution to change the name to the Parks and Recreation Board? Since we've changed the department name, it's kind of strange to continue to refer to it as the Leisure Services Advisory Board when there is no such department any longer.
There was in the past, and we
There
changed
was.
it from Parks and Recreation to
I
Leisure.
know.
Then we're gonna take it
For
from
alignment.
Leisure and put it back to Parks and Rec.
I wasn't here, Tom. I wasn't
There
here.
was I.
Whatever is the direction I receive from you, I'd be happy to prepare the resolution to do that,
Okay.
so.
But as to this appointment, no questions or discussion. Thank you for their
First I
service.
thought it was a typo, but it wasn't.
No.
All right. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is our city attorney, Tom Trask.
Thank you, Mayor. This item number 7 is public hearing, first reading of ordinance 2024-01, setting the special election date to August 20th, 2024. Some background before I read the title of the ordinance. Councilmember Buckman resigned effective December 30th. Section 3.07 of the charter requires the vacancy be filled by a majority vote of the remaining members of the council within 30 days of the vacancy. And the person so appointed shall serve as council member until the next regular election. However, if the next regular election is more than 365 days away, a special election is required to be scheduled no sooner than 120 days, nor more than 180 days following the occurrence of the vacancy. The next regular election is more than 365 days away, and therefore a special election is required to be held between April 28th, 2024 and June 27th, 2024. The Pinellas County Supervisor's election can't support a special election within that required time frame. Pursuant to Florida Statute 100.3605 and Florida Statute 166.021, the city may by ordinance change the dates for qualifying and for an election of members of the governing body to provide for an orderly transition of office resulting from such date change. Recognizing the importance of the supervisor elections, support for our municipal elections, the city clerk recommends adopting an ordinance setting the special election date for August 20th, 2024. And just as a reminder, the city charter, section 6.06, authorizes the city council to appoint the Pinellas County Canvassing Board to canvass the results of the election. In that regard, I prepared the attached ordinance for your consideration and approval. I'll read this ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2024-01, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, calling for a special election on August 20th, 2024, for the purpose of filling a vacancy on the City Council, identifying the Pinellas County Canvassing Board as the canvassing board for the August 20, 2024 special election, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, and providing for an effective date. That was the first reading of ordinance 2024-01 by title only.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. I am going to open up the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this item? Please raise your hand. Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying,
roll call.
oh,
Roll call?
oh, yes, roll call. Thank you.
Councilmember Graber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon,
Yes.
Mayor Saraki.
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2024-01 passes with a vote of 4-0.
Thank you very much. Item number 8.
Okay, item number 8 is consider assignment and assumption of contracts from Devin S. Rushnell LLC to Lennar Homes LLC. You remember that in July of 2022, the city entered into a development agreement with Devin Rushnell LLC. That development agreement was amended in April of 2023. Since that time, Mr. Rushnell and his company, Devin Rushnell LLC, desires to assign all of its rights, interests, and obligations for both the development agreement and the purchase and sale agreement to Lennar Homes, and Lennar Homes desires to assume such rights, interests, and obligations. Just a reminder that the amended development agreement is a document that requires anyone who owns this land or purchases this land to comply with the terms of the development agreement as that property is being developed. I'd also remind you that the real estate agreement that was signed by the city for the sale of the property allows for Mr. Rushnell and his company to assign its rights under the terms of that agreement. So in that regard, I've prepared the assignment that's attached in the packet and ask for your consideration and approval of that assignment. Mr. Rushnell is in the audience, and if you have any questions, I think he'll be able to answer them as well as I can.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the developer?
Not of Mr. Rushnell. No.
No? Any questions?
Just need a motion to approve then.
All right, motion.
So moved?
How about a second?
Second.
All right. Any other discussion?
Just-
Yes, Vice Mayor?
Just for a point of clarification for those in the audience and those watching, if Tom can answer this, if there are any substantial changes to either the site plan or basically the conceptual renderings of what was part of the agreement in the purchase and sale agreement, that would require basically another round of open forums, public hearings, as well as like town hall events, right? Basically because of the restrictions or requirements in the CRA.
That's right. The development, any change of the development agreement that's substantial would require it to go back through the same process as if there was no development agreement to start with. We treat any amendment just like we would do as the original passing of the development agreement.
Okay.
So it would have to come back.
So any major deviation from what's there, it would be, the clock starts all over again on that subject property.
Correct. And the amended development agreement is very specific on that language. I've added that language in there to make sure that everybody understands that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Do we foresee that happening, Felicia, or we don't foresee that happening?
I can't speculate on the future, Mayor,
Okay.
for that.
All right. Any other comments, Councilmember Gannon? All right. I just have one comment. I did some research on Lennar Homes. Last year in their sales, they did $34 billion in sales. So I think this is a win for the city of Oldsmar. And I'm going to thank city staff and the city manager for working this through. Thank you so much for this. All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is the city manager.
Item number 9 is adopt a resolution 2024-01 authorizing the local agency program, its LAP agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation for the construction and construction engineering inspection services of St. Petersburg Drive East from Bayview Boulevard to Dartmouth Avenue East Complete Streets project. The resolution authorizes the mayor and the city manager to execute the LAP agreement between the city and FDOT for the construction and construction engineering inspection of the Complete Streets project along St. Petersburg Drive East from Bayview Boulevard. This includes the roundabout to Dartmouth Avenue East. The project has received 2 grants. The Complete Streets portion of the project is funded by a Complete Streets grant received by Ford Pinellas through the LAP Transportation Alternative Program grant with FDOT, which provides $984,353 in federal funds. The roundabout portion was funded by a state appropriated grant with FDOT, which provides $1 million in state funds. The city attorney has provided the resolution and has reviewed the agreement as to form. Staff recommends approval. I will read the resolution by title only, Resolution 2024-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, approving the local agency program agreement between the State of Florida Department of Transportation and the City of Oldsmar, numbered 443928-1-58-01/02, authorizing the mayor and city manager to sign the agreement on behalf of the city and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. I need a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
All right, a motion and a second and a discussion on this item.
Grant compliance is difficult, but we're grateful for the money.
For sure, yeah.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Roll call. So roll call?
Roll call for that? Okay, I'm sorry, roll call.
Councilmember Graber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon,
Yes.
Mayor Siraki.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-01 is adopted with a vote of 4-0.
All right, item number 10.
Item number 10 is summary of the amendments and consideration of the ordinance 2023-07, future land use element, ordinance 2023-08, transportation element, ordinance 2023-09, infrastructure element, ordinance 2023-12, housing element for the City of Oldsmar Comprehensive Plan update. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide a summary of the amendments for the future land use element, transportation element, infrastructure element, and the housing element of the City of Oldsmar Comprehensive Plan, and to present the associated ordinances for consideration. Each considered item contains a staff report memo with attachments describing the summary of amendments, a copy of the proposed ordinance, and a strike-through underlying copy for each element. The Planning Board met on January 10th and recommended that the City Council adopt the proposed amendments as presented as a vote for 4-0. Louis Serna is here to give a brief presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Louis Serna with Calvin Giordano and Associates. I know this is a large agenda packet, so, but I promise to be brief. As last time I went through these slides and we went through the public engagement process that the city went through. And again, these elements that we'll be going over tonight, you'll see a lot of the public engagement efforts reflected in these goals, objectives, and policies, as well as staff input, a lot of good staff input. And so the four elements are future land use, transportation, housing, and infrastructure. Future land use element, probably the most familiar element to everybody, the heart of the comp plan. Most people are familiar with the future land use map. This element contains the categories that are on the map. However, no amendments to the future land use map are being proposed by these changes. Just some of the highlights, there's an addition of a planned redevelopment category in the comp plan. It's not being applied to the map, so there's no map amendments, as I indicated. But this category is really to promote mixed-use development. It's also consistent with what the Ford Pinellas is proposing and promoting, I guess, for a lot of the communities to use. All the land use categories are now summarized under one element, or under one policy, policy 1.1.2. We've also added policies adding support for the target employment and industrial land use study that Ford Pinellas has put forward, and also added a policy to promote continued investments in the Cypress Lakes Industrial Park. There are a number of amendments that were added, non-substantive, but for consistency with comments that we received from Forward Pinellas, and those are listed in your packet. Again, really just adding clarifications. We've added a gold 6 in subsequent policies. I'll just read this one. I think it reflects a lot of the public engagement and staff input. It says to create well-designed, mixed-use, transit-oriented developments that provide a variety of housing options and pedestrian and transit-friendly, that are pedestrian and transit-friendly, provide opportunities for shopping and dining, and provide spaces for public gatherings and promote community identity. We've added policy 6.1.3, which recognizes and supports the city's existing Tampa Road corridor plan. Also, policy 6.1.4, this policy states that the city will consider updating its zoning regulations to allow accessory dwellings in certain residential zoning districts. So those are the highlights of the future land use element. I'll pause and ask you if you have any questions on this element.
Okay, thank you, Louis. Any questions, Vice Mayor?
No questions.
No? Keep up the good work, Louis. Keep going.
All right, well, another important element that most people are familiar with is the transportation element. There was a lot of staff input, a lot of good staff input that we received in this element again, and a lot of public engagement. Just wanted to recognize policies 1.1.5 and through 1.1.7 to encourage multimodal transportation options, including pedestrians, bicycles, golf carts, scooters, and other micro-mobility devices. Let's see, a lot of staff input on these policies, 1.2.4 through 1.2.7, which promote coordination with Forward Pinellas, FDOT, and to promote context-sensitive roadway design. Revisions to policy 1.3.3 to provide guidance on vacation of right-of-ways, alleys, and easements. And then policy 1.3.6 to promote community connectivity between neighborhoods north and south of Tampa Road. Again, that was a policy that we heard a lot of out of public engagement and the interviews that we had conducted. Some other highlights, policy 1.4.5 to encourage continued use of safe bicycle and pedestrian ways, and then policy 1.5.4 to recognize the efforts of Safe Streets Pinellas Action Plan, and policy 1.5.5 to continue to support Vision Zero, which this council has been briefed on. Policy 1.5.6 to support the management of the city's traffic calming program, to enhance safety, reduce vehicle speeds, and to improve the overall quality of the street environment. Policy 1.6.6 to support countywide corridor planning efforts for the Tampa Road corridor. And I think, as was mentioned, I think in the previous meeting, a lot of these policies really are recognizing ongoing city efforts. So we thought it was important that they be reflected in the comp plan. And again, that's the highlights of the transportation element.
Thank you.
Nice.
And I'll proceed if there's no questions. The next element is the housing element, and the purpose of the elements are identified in your packet and on the slide. Let's see, we've deleted a policy due to the adoption of the PRD land use category that I mentioned, an outdated policy. Addition of policy 2.1.12, that's got the wrong number there. Again, to support ongoing efforts of the Advantage Pinellas County Countywide Housing Compact and the Forward Pinellas target employment and industrial land study. That's the highlights of the housing element. All right.
That was quick.
Yeah, and infrastructure element then. This element includes what are commonly called sub-elements: potable water, sanitary sewer, stormwater management, solid waste, and natural groundwater aquifer recharge. Again, some of the highlights based on the data that we provided and based on staff input, we updated the levels of service. And then objective 1.3, support budget and plan citywide meter upgrade and replacement. Objective 1.4, support practices and projects that increase resiliency of the city's infrastructure and operations. Again, resiliency was a theme throughout the engagement process. Objective 1.5, support budget and implement facility security measures. Again, I won't read these policies. The numbers on the screen need to be updated, but I won't read the policies. These are just more of the highlights of the sanitary sewer element that you have in your packet. Solid waste sub-element, that should be objective 3.1 on the screen, not 1.1. And I won't read that. Again, it's on the screen and in your packet. The drainage element, that should be objective 4.1 on the screen, and that should be goal 5. I think I was looking at an older version of the ordinance, but won't read them. Again, they're on the screen. And that's the highlights of the infrastructure element, and which is the final element.
Thank you for all your hard work. We
Yeah, you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions? No? All right.
Thank you, Louis.
Yeah, thank you, Louis.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
Appreciate it.
All right, I need a motion to approve.
Do we need to read the ordinance first, John?
No, we're going to do that when we have the public hearings.
When we do the
This
public
is
hearings.
just giving us
Okay.
direction to put them on the agenda coming up.
I asked Felicia the same question.
Did you? Okay,
Yes.
I was like, wait.
Before the meeting, I was like, are you gonna read that whole thing? And she
Not
said
yet,
no.
not yet. Okay, gotcha.
All right,
Just
thank
wanted
you,
to make
Tom.
sure procedurally.
All right,
Thank
so I
you.
need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Any other discussion on this item?
No.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you again, Louis. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 11.
Item number 11, requests council approval of grant agreement with the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection for the construction of the Water Reclamation Facility Control Building and authorize appropriate officials to execute the same. $6.55 million for the water reclamation facility is included in the city's fiscal year budget. Staff identified and applied for the Florida Department of Environmental Protection Resiliency Florida Grant in 2021 based on the project providing resiliency to the critical infrastructure from potential flooding and sea level rise. The project will elevate the core electric and system controls for the wastewater treatment process to the second floor building on the existing site. Florida Department of Environmental Protection announced that the city of Oldsmar was a recipient of a $2.15 million grant toward the project with a visit from the governor in December of 2021. The original construction estimate was about $4.3 million. As construction costs have escalated since the estimate was developed, staff has submitted a second grant application or a bridge grant to assist with funding for a portion of the remaining construction costs. Should the city be awarded the second grant, in addition to the grant being considered tonight, award announcements for a bridge grant are anticipated early in 2024. The city attorney has reviewed the agreement as to form, and staff recommends approval of the agreement.
All right, thank you so much. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
That was a good motion by Councilmember Graber.
Let's go.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Item 12, schedule work session for RFP for city-owned properties, City Hall site. The following date and time is presented for City Council's consideration. Tuesday, February 27th, 2024 at 6 p.m. The work session would be located here in the council chamber, 101 State Street West, Oldsmar.
All right. Does anybody have a conflict for February 27th at 6 PM? I think we're good, right? All in motion to approve?
So moved?
Second? Second. I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to share with us, City Clerk? Okay. Next item on the agenda is item 13, and our city attorney, Tom Trask, will take care of that.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to go over the process that we're going to use for the appointment of the vacancy on your council. I'll just go through that procedure. For every one of the applicants, we're going to allow the applicant a 5-minute introduction. We're going to do those in alphabetical order, followed by a 10-minute question and answer period for each applicant, followed by a 3-minute follow-up comment by the applicant as we go through them. We're going to do that for each applicant as they come through. Once all of the applicants have made their presentations and have followed their answers, question and answer sessions, the public will be given an opportunity to make a statement. The public will be given a 5-minute time limit per speaker as normal. There'll be no questions asked of the applicants by the public. Once that has been completed, the council will appoint an applicant by ballot vote. Each one of you should have a ballot with you. The city clerk will tally the ballots. The highest vote getter would be the applicant that you would appoint. So the names of the individuals that will be heard tonight in alphabetical order are Gerald Beaverland, Sandra Grimes, Stephen Hamm, David Llewellyn, Amber Stevens, and Barry Sullivan in that order. We'll go ahead and start. And by the way, you don't have to use your full 5 minutes or your 3 minutes, so don't feel like you got to fill in. Mayor Beaverland, you're up. If you would like to make a presentation, you have 5 minutes.
I have a problem talking too much, is that it?
I didn't focus that on you.
Jerry Beaverland, 512 Pine Avenue South. I put my resume in, you have that, you've read it. There's not much more I can say, except I have no hidden agendas. I don't answer to anybody on this earth except to my beautiful sweetheart. I've been married to my beautiful sweetheart for 68 years. We have been a citizen of Oldsmar for 58 years. I was mayor for 10 years, on the city council for about 29 years. That's all I need to say.
Okay. Any questions of Mayor Beaverland?
Let's start out with Councilmember Graver. Any questions?
Sure. Mayor Beaverland, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you for stepping up and filling out the application. I'm going to have the same 2 questions for everybody, but you get to go first. It's a very limited time between now and August, so what would you want to accomplish between now and then, given the limited amount of time that you'd be seated on council?
To continue to make Oldsmar the diamond on the west coast of Florida.
I figured that was coming. What's the biggest issue facing the citizens of Oldsmar today?
Washington, D.C.
Fair enough. Nothing further, Mayor.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gannon?
Certainly. And this is just personal edification. I'm just curious. Has your perspective on council changed since leaving office?
No.
Not at all?
Why would it change?
I don't know. You've been on this side for a while, you were on that side for a while. I was just
My
curious.
perspective on the city of Oldsmar is the same.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right. Vice Mayor?
I've got 2. Steve stole one of mine, but I had some backups.
No, I didn't, but, I can't read your mind, so.
What are,
You get to go first next time. Okay.
it's fine. I'll ask the same too now that I know what his are. We're using time. What are your thoughts on the RFP process for the current downtown development efforts?
You appoint me and I'll tell you.
Okay?
I think,
And I think, go ahead, if you want to
I
elaborate.
think I should answer that a little more in depth. It should be reexamined.
And then the other one I have, which I think I know the answer to this one, at least for you. We will have a higher occurrence of work sessions between now and August due to budgeting season. Does your schedule allow for decent availability and flexibility up until
My
August?
schedule book is empty.
I thought it might. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I got two questions. What is your favorite thing about Oldsmar?
Oldsmar.
Okay, figured that was coming. And then, for like what Councilmember Graver said, you're only gonna be up here for a short period of time. What do you think you can accomplish and help us get done here? One item.
Nobody can answer that question. I'm not asking to be set on council to make any big changes of anything. I'm just here to support.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Jerry. Anything else, Tom?
So you have an opportunity to, you have 3 minutes to provide any rebuttal, any additional information that you want to provide? No?
I'm an open book.
All right. All right, Mayor, thank you. Okay, next up is Sandy Grimes. Sandy, you'll be given 5 minutes to make a presentation, followed by question and answer.
Good evening, everyone, Mayor, Council. I'm Sandy Grimes, and I know all of you and have known all of you for many years, so I'm going to be brief as the mayor was. I have lived in this city for 25 years, and I have served both the city and the community in various capacities. In 2020, I was the co-chair of the Economic Recovery Task Force. In 2021, I was the chair of the Charter Review Committee. And in 2020, I was Citizen of the Year. My current affiliations and service are the Code Enforcement Board for the city. I also sit on the Firefighters Pension Board, and I'm a past chairman and current board member of the Chamber of Commerce. However, I must say that probably my most exciting and rewarding opportunity to serve the city was in 2019, when the council appointed me to fill Councilmember McGee's seat when she took a promotion and moved to Spain. I found it just incredibly rewarding. It was an honor, and I feel I have the experience, the skills, and the knowledge to fill the vacancy again, should you, as a council, choose to do so. Thank you.
Questions, right? Councilmember Gannon?
Sandy, so many years of volunteer service, and you're still here. I was curious, after, I mean, code enforcement, the firefighter pension board is some dry stuff, and yet it's been 15 years?
20 on code.
20, yeah,
on code,
that's a
yeah.
lot. Why have you continued to volunteer for the city for so many years in so many different capacities?
Because I love this city. And if I have something or can give something to make it better or stronger, that's why I'm doing it.
Only one question.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Same question to you, Sandy. What are your thoughts on the current, or the RFP process for the current downtown development efforts?
I agree with the mayor again. I think it needs to be revisited, and I hope that that's part of your priorities in the coming months.
Very
But
good.
again, I'm here to support you as a council since it is a temporary position.
Sure. And then, as stated previously, we're going to have a higher occurrence of work sessions due to the budgeting season coming up through August. And does your schedule allow for decent availability and flexibility?
Yes, yes, I have full availability to make my own schedule.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Graver?
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, Sandy.
Hello.
Given the short amount of time, what do you hope to accomplish between now and when the term is up in August?
Support all of you in the council priorities.
Understood. And what's the biggest issue facing the citizens of Oldsmar today?
Getting all on the same page again.
Fair enough. Thank you,
All
Mayor.
right. I don't have any questions for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy, anything else that you want to tell the council?
No,
All right,
thank you.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy.
Next is Stephen Ham. Steve, do you want to step up, do your presentation? You have 5 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time, council members, city staff. Really appreciate the opportunity. A little bit of background on myself. I reside at 610 Shore Drive East, Oldsmar, of course, and have been there for almost 6 years now. Longtime resident of Pinellas County, northern Pinellas County, 36 years. Lived in Palm Harbor and also Safety Harbor predominantly for those years. 4 kids, 5 grandkids. The kids are all products of our wonderful education system in Pinellas County and Florida's public university system as well. So I think those are some things that perhaps as citizens we take for granted as far as where we live and what the county and state have to offer. My work experience a little bit. Spent a lot of time in public accounting, private accounting. My degree is in business administration with a major in accounting, and then moved on to technology, software technology in particular. Have worked for a couple companies you may recognize, Oracle and IBM. Spent a lot of time there, both selling technology solutions as well as the services that go with those. And why that's a little unique is it gives me an understanding of businesses, and anytime we were involved with these contracts and these business dealings, we always had to look at why folks were doing things. And it gave me a lot of exposure to a lot of different industries as well as requirements, so that I have some public sector experience and understand some of the needs and desires of cities, county governments, as well as state. Priorities in the short time, 7 months that we have, first and foremost is always public safety, right? I believe that that's an underlying fundamental requirement of the city, making sure our kids are safe, pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists. It's really the foundation. Crime, just making sure that our citizens are safe first and foremost. I would like to thank Sheriff's Office for the increased patrols on Shore Drive, voicing comments from a fellow citizen. We have seen definite good enforcement, further enforcement along Shore Drive. Can appreciate staff did a great job soliciting opinions on the speed bumps, the congestion mitigation, and the Shore Drive residents, based on the data, were against the speed bumps, yet the citizens along Lafayette were for them. So I think the city's response to that was dead on, right? Again, what were the citizens looking to do? Second priority would be the stewardship of public funds, making sure that we're getting the most out of our tax dollars and our fees. We're spending them wisely for the benefit of all citizens in the entire community. Third thing, and this is probably the biggest thing that I think needs improvement, is our environmental resiliency, right? We've had these last 2 storms. We've seen water come up over on Shore Drive. I think that there are probably some things we can do in talking to our sustainability people that we're not looking at. May require some additional funding, some additional dollars to be spent. But I think when you look at, and I believe it's just about everybody in Oldsmar is required to have flood insurance, this is important. Something I learned with Citizens Academy is the city gets a grade based on their resiliency and climate resiliency, and it affects our individual flood insurance policies. Are we doing enough in that area to improve our grade so that everyone's flood insurance will go down? So again, I think there's some things we can do locally. We look to the state for property insurance and these flooding. We look to the federal government for climate issues, environmental issues. I think there are things we can do locally. What do I love about this city? I'd have to tell you that it's the open spaces. It's the trails, it's the parks, hiking, biking. There's so many hidden secrets in this city that until you get out there and look around, you just won't find them. It truly is amazing, and I think it's one of our strengths as a city is just parks and now recs as far as what we do. In summary, again, I think the Citizens Academy has helped me. I'll be able to hit the ground running, understanding how the city operates, some of the individual departments. My education and work experience will allow me to be focused on finance, financial reporting, accounting, as well as contract negotiations and understanding. I've got deep knowledge on that, although I am not an attorney or paralegal. I have the time, I'm retired, and I have a passion for the city.
We're good.
Great,
Thank you so much. Great job.
thank you.
All right, hang on.
Questions?
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
All right, we're going to start out with questions. Vice Mayor, you go first this time.
All right. So you have a little time to think and prepare here. Sorry, my tablet went to sleep, so please forgive me.
You were
Should be able
listening.
to remember these. There are
You were
only two
listening to him
questions.
so patiently.
Yes.
Do you want to just rewind the tape or whatever?
Yes, I would. What are your thoughts on the RFP process for the current downtown development efforts?
So I applaud the efforts of gathering support, right? The city has done such a great job of increasing exposure and accessibility to citizens over the last 12 months. And that is with City Manager Donnelly. Again, that was one of her top priorities, and she's done a tremendous job. So I think we've probably done a great job with gathering the input. And I think what's happened over the course of getting that input and our plan, the RFP process, the economic ground underneath us has shifted a little bit, right? It used to be mixed use, great office spaces, well, commercial space. And what we're seeing now is very high vacancy rates, right, for office buildings. I drove past Nielsen's campus the other day. Beautiful building, beautiful campus. It's a fraction utilized to what it was. So I think that we can use some common sense at looking at where we go from here. One thing that I might suggest is that instead of doing a big bang approach to the development effort, that perhaps we take the parcel and we divide it into smaller pieces that then we can have a higher probability of success with, right? As far as less financial risk, less exposure, and we can probably package up a series of projects as opposed to trying to do the whole big development at once. And that's a lengthy response to your question.
Totally fine. We got 10 minutes in total, so. Thank you. And then just the other follow-up one, since we'll have a higher occurrence of work sessions between now and August because of budgeting, does your schedule allow for decent availability and flexibility up through August?
I am retired, so 100%.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Ham. That was a good presentation. I noticed in your background on your application in accounting, and so I was curious if you were familiar with the city's specific budgeting process.
So I was exposed to that. I understand the timing elements. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of different departments. So it does take a lot of effort to dig through the details, if you will. I will probably be a little more interested in that based on my background. I will probably ask more questions and go to a level of detail that perhaps city staff's not used to in understanding the roll-ups of those numbers.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it? Councilmember Gannon? Councilmember Graber.
We're not related. We are not of relation, Mayor. Hi, Steve.
Hey.
Big fan of your first name. You talked about what you hope to accomplish, so I'm not going to repeat that question. I did see that you took Citizens Academy, but have you served on any of the volunteer boards, either here or in other places that you've lived before? It's essentially being up and making decisions in a board setting?
Not through a public service, public sector perspective, no.
Okay. And what do you think is the biggest issue facing the citizens of Oldsmar, whether we can accomplish that between now and August or not?
So I think that in general, the city's doing a very good job, right? So the priorities that are established, the way that it's being addressed, how it's being handled. There are perhaps some smaller things, some fine tuning, but if I were to focus on an area that, for me, that probably is something that I'd like to see a little different, this past storm season was perhaps an eye-opener for some of us in that there's a little more deficit relative to our resiliency for, I don't want to call it the big one, but the big one. So I think that that would be an area of improvement that I think is most in need right now. The rest of it, I feel as though the council and staff are doing an excellent job of prioritizing and
and managing effectively.
Thank you.
Wonderful. You answered one of my questions, and Steve answered Councilmember Graver had another question, but I just wanted to mention one thing. I thought your presentation was great. You gave us a lot of information about yourself, and I really do appreciate you coming out. I have no further questions.
All right, Steve, you have 3 minutes to wrap up your presentation, if there's anything else you'd like to add.
I'm all set. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. All right, next up is David Llewellyn. David, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is David Llewellyn, and I live at 212 Bengal Circle. Thank you, City Council, for inviting me to make a presentation this evening. I'll try to keep this up and put my glasses on. Your question, why do I want to serve? I love Oldsmar. My first visit to Oldsmar in 2009 was a drive down Shore Drive west to east and down to the park. What a beautiful place. In 2010, we built and moved into a house that I had designed. In 2011, Jan and I took the Citizens Academy course with somebody sitting up there. And I learned a lot about Oldsmar in great detail. In 2017, we brought our daughter Marie, her husband David, and their 3 children from Nashua, New Hampshire, to live in Oldsmar with us. Marie is a special education teacher with Pinellas County, and David manages Wilson Tire and Repair in Oldsmar. Then I designed a home for Jan's sister, Linda Hageman. She lives at 208 Bengal
David, hang on just
Circle.
a minute. Can you take the child out, please? It's kind of distracting. Thank you, I appreciate it.
So this is why I want to serve. I've brought people here. I love the place. We live adjacent to the park and the bay. And it's just such a beautiful place from where I worked, mostly in Manhattan. Professionally, I've had a long and varied career, including as a real estate project manager with pro forma responsibility. I organized and operated construction businesses in Manhattan and in Washington, D.C. I was in charge of 1.3 million square feet of tenant work, the interior of the Ronald Reagan building in Washington, D.C. The Ronald Reagan 500-seat theater and the employees' nursery school. Finally, I was a construction manager on the new Brooklyn terminal for the Long Island Railroad. And then I went into the design build business on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, of course. We designed and built additions, new houses, and renovations from Maine to New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. Unfortunately, the economy went into the toilet, and we closed the business, not in bankruptcy, in mid-2009. A planned vacation to West Chase, my daughter, became a job hunting, and I ended up at Lowe's selling windows and doors, because I'm in the construction business. Retiring in mid-2016, I sold millions of dollars of products and installations. Personally, Jan and I are members of Harborside Church in Safety Harbor. Pre-COVID, we participated in many small group activities, and we're pre-marriage mentors for 3 years. When the VFW came to Oldsmar to form a new post, and being a two-tour Vietnam veteran, I quickly signed up. When the post was certified, I became a chartered life member and post 12186, first service officer. At that time, traveling weekly to Haley VA Hospital, I met with the medical staff and provided information about the impact of COVID on the VA, testing and immunization services, outpatient services that are available. But while scanning for a VFW home, that was not a restaurant and bar. I scanned my Oldsmar looking for help. My Oldsmar started me following development activities in Oldsmar. I attended all the library development approval and design revision meetings and advocated for its approval. I also participated in the 2043 and 45 master plan and State Street development work sessions and consultant presentations. I then read about the St. Pete Drive rebuild presentation. It seemed they have a roundabout that many neighboring residents did not know about.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
I interrupted him, Mayor. If we can just give him a,
Yep.
can you just wrap it up, Mr. Llewellyn?
Surely.
Okay. Since I interrupted you, I apologize.
I look forward to joining the City Council, resolving bitter issues on the State Street redevelopment project, and developing potential shared parking solutions. I would also like to see a plan for a new city staff office and emergency service facilities put on fast track before the big storm. Thank you for the opportunity to make my presentation, and I hope to work with you all.
Thank you,
Thank
David.
you.
Thank you.
Questions? We're going to start out with Councilmember Graver.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for your interest, David, and of course, your service to tours of Vietnam. Thank you very much. What do you hope to accomplish between now and August if you're selected to be appointed to council?
I would like to see the State Street project issues with the bidders resolved and the project out to bid so that we can get moving on that project.
And what do you think is the biggest issue facing the citizens of Oldsmar today?
I think the actual biggest issue is the next hurricane, because the hurricane that we dodged, and we all stayed in our house because we were smarter than Felicia. Well, that's the truth, because she did a study and found out that if that hurricane had hit Oldsmar, all of our houses south of 580 would have been wiped out,
Yep,
including the town hall,
right.
which is why I said a new office. And I look at it, I've been around Oldsmar, I've lived here for 14 years. And I don't know how you're going to resolve it. I don't know. The federal government, the Army Corps of Engineers, I really don't know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Gannon?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming here tonight, David. What do you feel is the role of the city council in Oldsmar as in respect to the council manager form of government?
Well, I think that the council elected and understanding the residents' priorities and desires is the body that gives direction to the city manager as to how the business side of the government is to be run. So you provide the direction and she provides the horses.
Not at all, not at all. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for coming again tonight, David. You touched on it a little bit already with your remarks with the downtown project. So could you share or expound upon what your thoughts are on the RFP process as it relates to the current downtown development efforts?
I've been involved in RFPs in the past. And what I've found is that when we had bidders that had issues and they brought it up, and it was a, let's say, a very valid issue or an issue of theme, of the basic theme of the project, that issue would have been directed to the person totally responsible for the project. And in this case, the city council. And I think it's the city council's job to get all of these very relevant issues from the bidders and for the city council to act on these issues.
Okay, thank you. And then the other short, quick one, as far as your schedule goes, we have a lot of work sessions that'll be come up that aren't scheduled at this time. What is your schedule and availability like up through August?
I'm very available.
Thank you.
David, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate your presentation. And my last question, I have one, is if you get the seat up here, how do you plan on bringing this council together so that we're a team? And how are you going to come in and be a part of our team?
Well, what we need to do is to understand that each of us might have slightly different feelings about State Street, redevelopment, parks, parking. And just like anything else, you need to do some negotiation. There has to be some give and take. It cannot be, it's probably not going to get resolved at all unless there is some give and take and yes, negotiation between the council and between the council and the developer bidders.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all I have.
David, you have 3 minutes to give any other information you would like to give the council to wrap things up.
In the beginning. Again, thank you, City Council, for inviting me to present my credentials and clearly showing that I have the best kept secret, that I love the best kept secret in Florida, Oldsmar. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Okay, next up is Amber Stevens. Amber, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Live, work, and play. These 3 words flashed at me while driving through Oldsmar on our first family visit through this charming southern town over 6 years ago. My name is Amber Stevens, and I'm excited for this opportunity to apply for seat 2 on Oldsmar City Council and be a part of this current team. My family and I were immediately attracted when we did come to Oldsmar to see this quaint hometown, the neighboring bay, and the many parks for us to play at. If I'm appointed, my term with this council will be short, but I have much enthusiasm. I am passionate about public service and working it together as a team with City Council, staff, and most importantly, our Oldsmar residents. My primary interest is to the public. I can tell you already, I did complete the 4 hours of ethics training video with the Florida League of Cities. I did this to prepare for this position so that council, staff, and residents know that they can count on me. I would like to serve as an elected city official in the future. Having this appointment would give me experience and help me further understand my roles and the needs of this community. I'm a professional in the area of applied behavior analysis. ABA is the scientific study and evidence-based approach to improve socially significant behavior by increasing wanted behaviors and decreasing unwanted behaviors by manipulating the environment. This has been proven applicable in government practice by clearly defining objective goals that can be measured to determine what increases productivity, performance management, and increase resident satisfaction by using positive reinforcement procedures. My public service goes back even while I was in high school. I served on student council, and that enthusiasm actually continued in college, and I also became a resident advisor. I am proud I was able to build a strong community in whatever environment I was in. I applied to serve on Leisure Board 6 months after I moved here. I was appointed in February 2020 and continue to serve as the vice chair of this board. During my time on this board, I have helped get a variety of agenda items for us to talk about on the board meetings and before this council. I have worked with my board to determine questions for surveys that have gone out every year. I have provided my board, as well as Parks and Rec staff, many ideas, suggestions, questions, and concerns coming from a wide range of residents in our community and non-residents that use our facilities. I have reached out to other cities from the Parks and Rec staff and have asked a few to actually make presentations at our board meetings so that we know what they've done in their cities to engage with their residents. I have continued to advocate for our teenagers, as I think this is a population in Oldsmar that's the most disadvantaged because there's not as many activities and space for this age group. I am proud, though, that Oldsmar has made strides to partner with Operations Jack's Village to work with the teenagers to make a space that I do hope will be utilized. It is my hope that this will continue so more events, space, and activities can be provided for our teens to help Oldsmar make them feel connected to this community and grow, because it does start with parks. In addition, while living here in Oldsmar, I have served with mothers of preschoolers, Oldsmar Friends of the Arts, Art Selection Committee, and Task Force, and the Citizens Academy. All these positions have been great opportunities to connect with many members of the community through fellowship, service, and outreach. The experience of fundraising and planning events and cooperating with the city has prepared me for this role to serve on council. I want to leave you with one last quote. Empower the people around you, from the janitor to the athletic director. You do that by being sincere, caring, and then putting it into practice. That was said by late basketball coach, Coach Sue Gunner of LSU Lady Tigers. My sister and I were ball girls in the early 90s for Coach Sue. Thank you for providing this application and considering me for Oldsmar City Council seat 2. Let's continue to make Oldsmar a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start out with Councilmember Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Amber. Thank you for applying to come tonight. Your application was extraordinarily thorough, which does not surprise me at all. How has your prior community involvement lend itself to serving on council at this particular time in this juncture?
I just felt I wanted to capitalize on this moment. It was a good opportunity. I feel like I have the time and I want to do it now, and I do want to be on council one day, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to see what it's like so that I can come up here one day. I don't know when that day will be, but I do, and so just like I said, capitalizing on the moment.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Your thoughts on the RFP process for the downtown development efforts?
I'm going to kind of echo, just want to relook and examine, but of course, be a team player and assist all of you.
Very good. And as far as schedule with availability and flexibility goes, up through August?
So definitely in the evenings, I'm always open. If I know ahead of time, I can work around the day. She can come, not the other one. Or whose kid is that?
He was fine.
We know the pain.
There are those of us up here with small children who understand completely.
All right, that's all I have.
All right,
Thanks,
Councilmember
Amber.
Graver.
I will not name which child I will bring, but
Does he share the same name?
only one's allowed to come. Thank you, Amber. What do you hope to accomplish between now and August if you're appointed to the board?
Definitely continue with council priorities, support and assist, and like I talked about the teenagers, I really want to give them a voice. I really want them to feel connected to this community. So just even my short term up here, if I can just make a connection, have them feel they're a part of this, and then they can continue to talk with this team even when I'm gone and with that new person coming in August.
Okay. And what do you think is the biggest issue that's facing the citizens of Oldsmar?
I really think we just need to show that we're a team. And if we can show that we're a team, the residents are going to model that. We're trying to model the behavior we want residents to see. So if we're up here, they see that, then they're going to come together and they're going to want to be part of this team that Oldsmar is. And of course, continue with safety and safe streets by schools and parks, and continuing the studying with the data. That's what I think.
Thanks, Mayor.
Amber, your energy and your positive attitude has bouncing off me, and I just want to thank you for your complete application and your great speech. I thought you did a wonderful job. The questions I had were already asked, and you actually mentioned them quite a few of my questions in your presentation. So I want to thank you very much for coming out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Amber, you have 3 minutes. If you have anything additional you want to provide to the council.
Okay, so even though I've only lived here about 6 years, to some people that might not seem very long at all, but I think that's a matter of perspective, because I love this city. I've always been someone that's motivated and put myself out there if I want to get things done, meet people, and accomplish goals. So I think I've been successful in that area. For only been here 6 years, I think I've given quite a bit back to the community and maybe done more than people have done 10, 20 years. So imagine what I can do in 10 or more. Again, I think it's a matter of perspective and how you manage your time. I never know how long I'm going to be anywhere. So to me, it's important to give back, have that public service and give back. Build relations with the community just because I'm so grateful and have so much gratitude of what other people have done, and I just want to give back and be helpful. And one last thought. So in the beginning of my professional career, I did have some challenges landing a job. My first 2 attempts, I was told I have amazing credentials, I'm a great fit, fantastic references, but I don't have enough experience. By the 3rd interview, I regrouped, and at that interview, I asked for the job. I remember saying something on the lines of, how am I supposed to get experience if no one ever gives me experience? Please, give me this opportunity. You're not going to be disappointed with me. And I got the job, and I didn't disappoint them or any other people. So today, I'm asking you, please, give me this opportunity. You already have 2 applicants that have previously served on council. Every one of you agreed at the last meeting you want someone fresh, new, someone that wants to learn the roles, someone that wants to come up here, someone that wants to be on council one day. So let that person be me. I want to be a part of your team. I want to help the city of Oldsmar move forward until we have a new elected person in August. I want to serve on this council in the future. So please, give me this opportunity. You're not going to be disappointed. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you very much.
Last applicant we have tonight is Barry Sullivan. Barry, it's your opportunity. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My love for the city of Oldsmar began back in 1997 when we moved into the town to help a friend start a church here. And 4 years later, Tracy and I planted our own church here in the city and held services every weekend in the senior center for almost 6 years. We've raised 4 sons here in the city where they attended Oldsmar Elementary, Forest Lakes Elementary, Oldsmar Christian School. They've all grown up to be incredible young men. We've got a fire inspector for the city of Clearwater, a hotel manager for the Holiday Inn Express. I've got a son who's a manager at Chick-fil-A in Oregon and a son who is our production director at a church in Oldsmar. They all started their work careers at the Chick-fil-A in Oldsmar. I've always seen myself as a uniter, a problem solver, and as someone who is willing to fight for a cause. After moving to the city in 1997, I helped start the annual National Day of Prayer gatherings each May, which we just celebrated our 25th anniversary doing. After we started our own church in 2002, I started delivering pizzas for Domino's and would drive around and realize that the pastors I met with once a year that I didn't really know much about their lives, and was convicted to start to unite us together as the church in the city. And we started doing that, and we started praying weekly together, and that turned into getting a vision where I started something called Oldsmar United, which lasted for 12 years, gathering the teenagers of 4 different denominations together once a month to spend time together, worshiping together, praying together, and just challenging them to have an impact on their community. As I would drive around Oldsmar, my heart was drawn to the neighborhood near the bridge that comes over or goes over into Safety Harbor, officially known as the unincorporated Oldsmar area. We called it our target neighborhood. I saw myself as a problem solver, and I saw how unkept and full of trash the streets in that community were, and I challenged our church to go in and help clean it up. We would go in and pick up trash, would set up a grill on the corner, would grill hot dogs and invite the kids to come out and help us do it. And we started to motivate and inspire that community just to clean itself up without the city's help at all. Then other churches started joining us, and it turned to a large group of us, and we would shut the street down there and have what we would call block parties, and would bring in food and clothing and toys for the kids. And that eventually spread to the Westminster Apartments. It went to a neighborhood or a park in Largo, downtown Tampa, and into Tarpon Springs. I also worked for United Healthcare for 9 years. Started in the old call center here in Oldsmar, taking calls from Medicare members and providers. Quickly became known as someone who picked up on issues that others didn't see or who didn't think anything could be done about. I helped break up a billing group that was committing fraud by overbilling our providers, wasting hundreds of hours of our staff time and fielding calls for the same information over and over again. I also helped resolve an issue that became something that was changed system-wide when I was told that nothing could be done about it. And I made a couple phone calls, and in 4 hours, the complete system was changed, and it benefited thousands of our members. Eventually, I was promoted to the training department as an instructional designer with no degree or formal training in that field. And as an instructional designer, I would take the complex nuances of Medicaid insurance benefits and claims processing and create training programs to teach our employees how to handle these rollouts and information pieces for our members that they could access to help them understand the details of their new insurance plans. Every few months, I'd be assigned a new state and a new Medicaid plan. I'd do the research that was needed and then create the communication pieces which helped thousands of staff, providers, and members. A few years ago, I once again felt the need to do more than just talk or pray about an issue. This time it was politics. And I thought, what better way to get involved than become a poll worker? So I called up to volunteer to become a poll worker and found out you get paid to do that. So the last 3 years, I have been actively serving in Precinct 620 at the Oldsmar Library as a poll inspector. As I stated before, I'm also one who is willing to fight for a cause. My favorite quote is one by the late Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "Our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter." This motivated me so much so that I wrote a book for teens and young adults called The Justice Revolution, which has sold more than 4,000 copies. It tackles 7 different social justice issues, challenging them to make a difference in the world around them. This motivation also caused me to stand up to the city council years ago for the right of a group home for hurting teens to simply exist on Shore Drive. And then again for the Section 8 Westminster Apartments to be built in Northwest Oldsmar when residents were afraid it would drive down their property values.
Barry, your time is up. Thank
Yep.
you.
All right, we're going to start out with questions, Barry, and the first one is Vice Mayor Andrew Knapp.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for coming tonight, Barry. Could you please share with us your thoughts on the RFP process for the current downtown development efforts?
Yes, just to echo, I think that it does need to be revisited. Certainly, I think we need to remember what the citizens voted for in the last election and to consider that. As council members, you all represent the citizens that elected you and placed you here. So I think it's important to just kind of recall what they directed the council to do.
Okay. And the other one, as far as your schedule and availability goes for upcoming work sessions, of which there will likely be many between now and August.
Yeah, I can make myself available as needed.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Councilmember Gannon.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry, for coming tonight. You have this way about you that we all have come to know through the day of prayer, especially. How is it that you have the ability to take an issue such as religion or faith, but then integrate it in a way that's not offensive to anyone into what might seem like an opposite endeavor in politics? I'm curious as to how your background has allowed you to come to this place, to this moment.
Well, you know, as I stated, even in my my application, I have a heart to serve, and you know, I've spent a couple of years in Tallahassee, and I came to understand that there are politicians and there are people in government, and I really believe that that people in government are people that love the community that they're called to, or the state or the nation that they're called to, and that they'll do what they can to serve the needs of those people. And it's important that we don't forget, when placed in these positions, how we got there, who put us there, who we represent, and all of that. So I don't see it as a conflict of interest in any way. Just, I think my love for God has bled over into a love for the community, And I just desire to be a servant in this way. You know, we've served you guys doing what we do for 25 years now. And when I heard about this need, I'm like, let me pray about it, prayed about it, and said, well, let's just see if we'll step up and make ourselves available. So,
Thank you, Barry.
yeah.
Councilmember Graber.
Thanks for coming tonight, Barry, and for your interest in the position. What would you want to try to accomplish between now and August if you were appointed?
Well, again, to echo, I'd like to support the agenda of the council. I also, as Amber just stated, I have a great love for the young people of the community, and I'd like to see us to be able to do more for this emerging generation that's coming up, to provide space for them, to provide programs for them, and support what they're doing.
And what's the biggest issue facing the citizens of Oldsmar?
I think it's to keep Oldsmar Oldsmar. What is it that's drawn the people here to this community, whether it's to live, work, or play? What can we do as a city to support that, and then also to look at other things that, you know, that we could build on or direct towards that would to make that better and make it an improvement.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Barry, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for stepping up to the plate and coming up here and presenting yourself to us. It means a lot to me. I'm very religious, being a Catholic my whole life, and my aunt being a Catholic nun for the orphanage, you know, as we talked about. I just want to thank you for your service, what you do for the community. But most of all, I am just really humbled right now. We have 6 wonderful applicants that are here, that want to be a part of us, that want to be a part of this team. And I'm just very, very humbled right now. And I really don't have any questions. I'm just very grateful. Very grateful. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
All right, Barry, you have 3 minutes to tell the council any additional information you would like them to know.
Absolutely, and I didn't get to this point before, but in closing, I wanted to say that any one of the 6 of us applying would make a great interim city council member. And while I do not have personal political aspirations, I do want to do what I can for the city. And if I'm not chosen tonight, my feelings won't be hurt, and my commitment to you still stands the same as I said last council meeting, that we're going to continue to support each and every one of you. We love you guys, and that we're going to support you in prayer in whatever way we can. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, all the applicants had an opportunity to present themselves. Now is the time for the public to stand up and provide any comments they have. Anyone that wants to speak will have 5 minutes to speak. And to remind you that questions will not be asked of the applicants, just it would be statements that you would be making. If there's anyone interested, step forward, tell us who you are, and you have 5 minutes.
Come on up.
Good evening. I'm Janice Llewellyn, and you heard David's story. I just want to say, with the plethora of the applicants and their qualifications, we need to incorporate these people's services in some way. If they don't go on council, on the city council, can we help them meld into committees that need help or areas that need help? We have a wealth of people in our city who can come forward when the need came this way, but we need to tap into that, and I'd like to see you do that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
Anyone else who would like to speak? Come on up. Tell us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Peter Lundberg, and I am here and going to say wow, first of all, because all of you were fantastic. I think you're all going to do a great job, so no matter who you select, they're going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be a difficult job. But there's one person to me who really stands out, and that's Amber, because I watch Amber and her children, and they're in everything. I mean, literally, she has the energy, she has the drive to really do things. And also, being a pastor of a church also, we have an issue that we had to face that I think sometimes happens. If you've lived in an area all your life, you might not see the area like everyone else does. Amber's been here for 6 years, which is a long time in a way, same amount of time as I've been living in the town, but she might be able to see issues a little bit differently and give you some perspective that might help you. So I just wanted to stand up and say, Amber is a very special person, so I want to support her.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Mrs. Settle?
Hello again. Pam Settle, 439 Lakeview Drive. I want to echo what was said, because as I sat there listening to the candidates, I thought, we have such a wealth of people in this community, and not a lot of ways for people to be engaged and for their talents and expertise to be harvested and utilized at the city level. And I just would encourage you to think about that. I also, just kind of in a funny way, thought maybe next meeting y'all could ask each other your questions, because I think that people would like to hear those answers. But I'm mostly here just to say, as a voter, as a citizen, I'm not looking for someone to come in and do anything special. I don't think that that's the role of an interim council member. This is an unelected position. The choice really should be more neutral, and someone who's here to help and support, but not to have a goal. That would be the role of someone who's going to run for office and not to fill in a seat for a few months. So I'm encouraging you to choose someone who's neutral, someone who hasn't been in office before, someone who's not planning to run, that could give them an unfair advantage against other candidates. And that's nothing personal against any of the people who are here. It's just thinking about how, the city is 100% of voters, and that should be taken into consideration. And also, the charter doesn't really allow for much detail. I mean, it gives you how many days, but it doesn't say what kind of person, what this role should look like. And I know in the past, the former mayor has specified that the interim person would not be someone who was running. And I thought that that was a smart thing to do. But I also think, from an ethical standpoint, we should look at conflicts of interest and make sure that nobody who's being chosen, appointed, not elected, appointed, would not have any ties to any organization that benefits financially from the city. If the city has contracts that provides money to an organization, someone who's on that board of directors or employed by that organization should not be appointed to a non-elected position. So I think that in fairness to the voters, that should be a consideration. And good luck, because you have a hard choice. Thanks.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
All right, anyone else? Sir, did you want to speak? You can state your name. You have 5 minutes.
My name is David Eberlin. Unfortunately, sorry about the shirt.
I saw that.
I came straight from work. I do not live in Oldsmar. I lived here for 24 years, from 86 till 2010. I've known Barry Sullivan since probably the late 80s. He does love this city. After I'd been living here for 24 years, he came to my church and he spoke about Oldsmar. And he told me more about Oldsmar after living here for a couple of years than I knew after living here for 24 years. And he has a heart for Oldsmar. I feel like I'm in the presence of royalty with Jerry Beaverland here, because he was either mayor or on the council the whole time I was here. But I did come to support Barry, and I think that he would just bring a different type of an overall look at the council than some of the more business-like people that have come here. So if you'd consider that his perspective on the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last call. Anyone else? All right, Mayor, if we should close the public portion of this now, and each one of you has a ballot in front of you, and now would be the time to place your vote on that ballot. And then once you've completed it, you can pass it down. If there needs to be, even though it's not included here, if there needs to be discussion before the vote, that is your prerogative.
Yes, does anybody want to say anything? Vice Mayor, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. This is probably one of, if not the toughest decision I've had to make in my time serving up here. Because as several people in the audience said, I think all 6 of you, if from my perspective, if I walked away from office, I would be honored if one of you took my place. So yeah, it's not going to be easy, but it just gives me so much pride in our city for so many people willing to step up for just one seat when other cities struggle to fill 4 seats. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart for stepping up. It really means a lot, and I'm sure that probably is the same for everybody up here.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Gannon?
Thank you, Mayor. I feel similarly, Vice Mayor. Not only are all of you wonderful individuals, but you're all my friends. So of course that puts us in a very strange position. You know what though? I'm going to focus on something a little bit different. I am excited. I am excited because we have to pick one person tonight, and that's okay. But on August 20th, we're going to have an election. And I heard a lot of great things tonight. And so I hope that I might hear some more of those things. I heard also a couple of things that are important to me to say out loud. A vacancy that is created by a resignation like this, I do feel this interim period of a couple of months is something that needs to be held relatively neutral, as one of our residents acknowledged. And that's important because there's 4 of us, and we can't have 2 votes. But it needs to be a situation where we have continuity here for a short period of time. So it is my great hope that all of you will continue to stay involved, that some of you will very seriously consider qualifying for the August election. In fact, I hope all of you do. Because I was sad, honestly, to see some of the check marks on that pages. I promise I won't run for August. And I was like, oh, man, are you really sure? Are you sure? So that's really all I wanted to convey. I hope that came across as somehow coherent in a wave of emotion at the same time.
Perfect.
I tried.
Councilmember Graver?
I will also try to be coherent. Thank you, everyone, honestly. I've gotten to know all of you. Since I've been in Oldsmar, since I've been up here, of course, we've gotten to know each other a lot better. It's difficult. You're putting your name up and saying, hey, pick me. It's a different process. I know in the past it was a motion and a vote. The application process was different. Of course, there's different reasons for that, especially with the Form 6, which is the reason Councilmember Buckman resigned. All of you knew that walking in, which I appreciate. It's a very difficult process only because you're saying, hey, we want to come up here and sit with you. Okay, fine, between now and August, and those months are vital. I mean, we do so much in that time. Not that we don't do anything from September to December, but from now until August, just absolutely vital. And so understanding that, getting up to speed on all of those things, having your meetings with Felicia, kind of understanding how difficult those decisions can be, like the one that we're facing right now. And so thank you all very much. It definitely will be a difficult decision. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Again, I just want to echo, I'm just very humbled. We have 6 wonderful candidates here. Every one of you could sit in that seat, every one of you. And as Councilmember Gannon said, please don't give up. We want you to be involved in our city, each and every one of you. I think it's just, I'm overwhelmed on what happened here today. I've never experienced anything like this, what Vice Mayor Knapp said. It's very hard to choose any one of you. You are all qualified for the position, and I'm humbled and honored that you're here. With that, we're going to vote, and I want you all to know one thing. each one of us is very grateful that you are here tonight to present yourself and give us an opportunity to learn who you are, what you're all about, and why you love this city. Thank you.
Okay, one thing I just want to remind you that Section 3.07C requires that the vacancy be filled by a majority of the vote of the remaining members of council. So that means that we need at least 3 of you to vote for the same person. If we get to a situation in this vote where it's a 2-1-1, for example, or 1-1-1-1-1, we're going to have to continually reduce the lot of the applicants until we get to that point where we have at least 3 of you voting for the same person, because that is what is required by your charter. So you have the ballot in front of you. Please check the box of the individual you would like to appoint. Please sign the ballot. The ballots will become part of the minutes of the meeting. Pass them down to the city clerk. She'll tally them, and we'll start with the first vote.
So one quick question. Will you have extra ballots if we have to vote again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
If you want, you can fold them in half and just pass them down. Thank you.
We have 2 votes for one candidate and 2 votes for another candidate.
Okay, so we're going to need to limit it to that. So who are the two candidates that got 2 votes each?
Sandra Grimes and Amber Stevens.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to those 2 individuals, but we need to limit it down to 1. So we need to do the next vote. You're only to consider Sandy Grimes and Amber Stevens.
For Andrew. For Steve.
Oh, sorry. No, that one's,
Yours,
I think, got my
Katie?
name on it.
That's Andrew's.
This is Steve's.
This is Dan's.
No. Steve, that's yours. You can see your name on the bottom.
We have 3 votes for Sandra Grimes and 1 vote for Amber Stevens.
Thank you. So at this point, Mayor, Sandy Grimes has been appointed to the position to fill the vacant seat. Thank you, everyone that applied and was here tonight and made a presentation. Now it would be time to go ahead and swear in Sandra Grimes for the seat, and then she can step forward and take the seat.
Do affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida and the city charter of the city of Oldsmar, Florida. And that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state and faithfully perform the duties of council member of the city of Oldsmar, Florida in accordance with the city charter. Congratulations.
All right, Sandy, you can take your seat. Congratulations.
Good seat.
All right, our next item on the agenda is council comments, and we're going to start out with Vice Mayor Andrew Knapp.
Said most of my comments already just a few minutes ago, but I'll let Sandy get seated. And let's Felicia's back. Again, thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. It's not easy by a long shot. I look forward to the time ahead for these next few months, and to echo Councilmember Gannon's comments, I better see all 5 of you on the ballot in August at this point. Yes, Oldsmar has a bright future ahead as far as those who really want to serve and do right by the city and do right by the people. So I think I'll leave it at that. Just a couple other things. We got noise abatement task force meeting for the first quarter coming up tomorrow. I'm looking forward to participating in that. It's certainly always a challenge for dealing with the growth that pervades beyond Oldsmar city limits, right? We're in the most densely populated county in one of the most blossoming regions of the state. There's so many people want to move here and be part of the Tampa Bay region, and it's a challenge to face with all that growth between St. Pete wanting to compete, or St. Pete Clearwater Airport wanting to compete with Tampa Airport, and all these airlines that continue to want to serve and add new destinations to get people to come here and to allow us to go elsewhere. Because while it's certainly nice to spend time here in our city, it's nice to get to go to other places, which I got to spend this past weekend meeting my newest nephew up in North Carolina, 7 weeks old. So it was a really special weekend. So looking forward to your short time here, Sandy, and for whoever will step up to the plate come August. I'm really looking forward to that. That's all I have, Mayor.
Right, thank you. Councilmember Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to congratulate the city staff and thank the city for inviting Bill to come and help us with our visioning statement work session that we had last week. I felt like the visioning statement and the mission statement work session was extraordinarily productive and very well run. I would look forward to any opportunity to work with him again. I felt that he facilitated an excellent work session, and I felt that he helped us start with, remembering what we already have and moving from that position to further kind of reaffirm and look to the future, which, again, I was reminded when we looked at the comp plan, the added elements tonight, our city staff, again, going above and beyond what's even statutorily required. So thank you all for your hard work and forethought that you put into the visioning statement work session, visioning statement, mission statement work session. And we have another work session coming up. I'm very interested in everybody's thoughts, especially considering some of the kind of unique feedback we happen to get tonight, incidentally. And so I'm looking forward to that with all of you. Sandy, welcome. Welcome back. I know you know how this goes. I know you were actually up here when we previously had to deal with a downtown situation, so I know we can hit the ground running. It was also a budget session, so I know that we'll be able to move forward quickly and seamlessly. To everyone out here who came and applied for this position, I want to not only thank you, I want to issue you a challenge. I want all of you to apply. In fact, if I don't, I'm going to call you if I don't see you in Kristen's office asking about qualifying for the August election, because Sandy has been up here before and she's left here before, but I heard some excellent ideas from people who I think would do a great job and have a lot to share, not for 7 months, but for an extended period of time on this council. And that encourages me very much. It was wonderful hearing from each and every one of you about your backgrounds, about your passions, and your thoughts. And I want to thank our citizens that came out tonight. I watched all of you listen attentively and patiently to your fellow citizens who shared about themselves and were willing to participate in this process. Thank you for coming tonight and showing your interest and respect and your also desire, your collective desire as well to be a part of this process and to be involved in your city government. With that, it behooves me to announce, to the extent that you all don't know, that Touch a Truck is coming up on January 27th. And if there's one more thing that's controversial, it's the amount of people who will be at Touch a Truck.
It's true.
So I wanted to end with that. I wanted to thank the city staff for continuing to put that on, because it is a much beloved event. The January 27th Touch a Truck at Oldsmar Fire Rescue is a great opportunity for young and old, but especially some of my favorite young friends to come out and enjoy learning about all of the literally cool equipment that we have and our amazing staff who loves to show it off. So I hope to see you all at Fire Rescue on the 27th. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Graber.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to reiterate, thank you all so much. I know you wanted to be up here. Trust me, you didn't tonight. It was a very difficult decision to make. And now you don't have to be concerned about whether or not you feel like running in August. You can. You marked it down that you wouldn't if you got appointed, but the door's wide open. To have that amount of interest, I know it helps all of us out to understand it. I know when we just went through the candidate forum process, one of the questions we were asked was, what's the biggest issue facing the citizens of Oldsmar? That's where I got it from. And it was a difficult question to answer, and so I understood that. But it's knowing some of the particulars, understanding the different issues that are going on specifically. Steve, when you're bringing up resiliency and the storms, David, you brought the storms up as well. That's a huge part of why I'm up here. A main concern of mine, especially with the water reclamation facility. I know we were having some fun earlier tonight when I gave the thumbs up, like, let's go. It needs to be done. And that was my answer. It's the biggest issue facing all of us. And so between now and August is a very short period of time. Congratulations, Councilmember Grimes. I know you've been up here previously. I think we're going to fix the you don't have a nameplate thing that's going on right now. But again, everyone, it's disappointing, I understand. It's, from now to August will go by so quickly. And trust me, if you win that election, if you're running it, well, you get to turn right around and run again, because the next election's in March. And so just keep that in mind. It's all right in front of you, everything. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Grimes, what do you got to say? Let's go.
I just want to thank the council and mayor for your trust in me in handling this position until a special election. And again, thank you for everyone that participated. It was an interesting process, I will say, but I found it encouraging and a little bit fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I look
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you.
Thank you again.
All right. Anything else? All right, and I just have a couple things. I got an update from the Pinellas Transit Authority, PSTA, I would like to share with the council. PSTA is celebrating 40 years in Pinellas County. In 1984, the St. Petersburg and Clearwater bus system merged into PSTA and went countywide. The 2024 PSTA Board of Directors are Chairman Gina Driscoll from the city of St. Petersburg, and I am the Vice Chair of the PSTA, and the Secretary and Treasurer will be selected at our meeting, our board meeting at the end of the month. Overall ridership for PSTA was 10.4 million in fiscal year 2023. It's the 17th highest in our 40-year history. PSTA Access Service ridership has its highest ever, 400,000 rides, biggest ever. The Sunrunner, the BRT, had over 1 million rides in 2023. Ridership is lower now that fares have been restored, but Sheriff Gualtieri told the PSTA board that the issues caused by the homelessness riding Sunrunner to the beaches has been resolved. Representative Cheney, she represented the PSTA bill, legislative approved, the Pinellas legislative delegation approved it on November 27th and 23, and now is in Tallahassee, where a local bill can be approved or vetoed by one of our state senators. It has changed over the last 4 or 5 sessions. The bill, what the bill does to PSTA, it's very important that we understand. The bill has changed since it originally was opposed. As of now, the biggest change is reducing the PSTA board size from 15 to 11 by reducing city representation. And why I'm telling you this, if this bill passes, I will no longer be on PSTA board. All the representatives will be held by the state and the county commission. None of the local cities will have a voice. Cities passing resolutions opposing the bill, they've already signed a resolution at their city council as St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Largo, and Dunedin have all passed resolutions opposing the bill. What mayors can do, pass resolutions. We can provide, they've provided a sample resolution if we want one for the city of Oldsmar. I wanted to bring that up to city council, so if you want to consider that, we might want to add that to the agenda. It's something we can review. That's what I had for PSTA. Now for some exciting stuff. Super Bowl party. If you've never been to the Super Bowl party, the Women's Club put this on. They raised it from $5 to $6 this year. They're breaking the bank.
Come on, it's worth it.
So we're working with city staff. The problem they've had over the past, if you've ever gone to this, they run out of soup. Because there's so many different soups made by the Women's Club. The members of the Women's Club make these soups and they're outstanding. So you gotta come if you haven't done it. Anyways, it is on February 10th, which is the day before the Super Bowl, and it's from 11 a.m. to 1, and I advise you to get there at 11 a.m. if you want soup. All right, it's at State Street Center right next door. Again, it's only $6. Last week, I attended the Mayor Council of Pinellas County, and we currently have those meetings now at the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council office. And I was working with staff before the meeting while they were setting up lunch, and I wanted to bring this up to Vice Mayor Knapp. They asked me, since you are on Forward Pinellas, they've asked me if I could rejoin the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. Since May of '22, they had said you weren't really attending many meetings. You've only attended the one in December. And they've asked me, because I really want to be involved, at the Florida League of Cities, I'm really involved in the utilities, natural resources, and public works. I've been doing that for 3 years. And they are having their regional resiliency coalition. And I really want to get involved in that. When I was on that board back in 2015 and 16 and 17, I really was involved with the city of Oldsmar. And I am free on Mondays. I know that's a conflict for you at work, so I was wondering if you would want to, Mondays, I guess it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. because they have lunch, and then you get out at 1. So I don't know if that's something I wanted to ask you, and you can think about it if you want and talk to Felicia or whatever, get back to me.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to bring it up and put it on the agenda for discussion. so.
Because I figured you're on the Forward Pinellas board now, and that is going to take up some time. They got workshops next month, which are all day and stuff. So I thought, I'm just trying to communicate that with you.
Sure.
And then I want to second what Councilmember Gannon said. The visioning work session, the mission statement work session, I thought the four of us did a fantastic job as far as communicating, working together, and coming up with the vision and the mission statement for the city of Oldsmar. And city staff did a wonderful job too in doing all that work. And again, the presentation was great, and I just wanted to bring that up too and just echo what you had to say. On Saturday, I attended the Mayor Dottie Lee Memorial. It was right here in Oldsmar. And I just want to say that the children spoke. Cindy, Danny, and Charlie. Charlie is a long-time employee here, He retired. But I met Molly, the youngest. They all spoke about Mayor. And she loved the city. She loved being the mayor of the city. The children talked about growing up here and how much they love Oldsmar. It was a pretty touching event, and I'm really glad I went to understand a different mayor's point of view about the city of Oldsmar. I really am blessed to have gone to that. Last but not least, I got two more items. I agree with Councilmember Gannon. I've never been to Touch a Truck. I'm going. I want to see all the kids there, especially you. All right. And then last thing, it's official. It's official. I got this in the mail yesterday, and I am officially a Bills Mafia. Thing goes, horns up, yabba dabba doo, go Buffalo.
Okay, you're gonna have to educate me on this.
It's a Bills Mafia hat, special gift. The Bills won in the playoffs. They won the playoff game yesterday.
Yes,
So
we
this is
did.
like a special group that you can belong to as a fan?
Yeah, I'm in the
Okay.
special group.
How do you get in? Is
I
it
don't
like-
know, but I got invited.
Congratulations.
I got invited because I'm the mayor, I guess. I don't know. But it's a special gift from a special friend, and I'm very pleased to be a part of the Bills Mafia, and I will wear this hat in pride during the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And I am being honest with everyone. I'm praying for a Bucks Bills Super Bowl.
The Bills.
All right, enough of that. And that's all I had.
Mark got a picture of that, just so you know.
Oh, you did? Thanks,
yeah.
Mark. Good. All right, item 15, approve the tentative agenda for the February 6, 2024 council meeting. Does anyone wish to pull or add anything to the agenda?
Add one thing.
Sure.
Direct city attorney to draft resolution to set the staggering of terms of the Veterans Advisory Board.
Okay.
Worded.
Wow.
I think that's pretty close to how it might wind up on a final.
Anything? I would like to add the,
Katie would.
oh, Katie, go ahead. Yep. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
How did you say it? Direct
Oh, you need another?
Yeah, to draft a resolution to rename the Leisure Services Advisory Board to the Parks and Recreation Department Advisory Board, or a more appropriate name, as you see fit, based on historic whatever.
Or
I don't know if what it previously was fits now, so perhaps that's something that.
Pretty sure it was
board-
Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Okay, then that works, yeah.
Did I get it right, Mayor? I think so.
Jerry would know, exactly. There we go. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
Mayor.
and I
Finish
would like
your-
to add the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council to the agenda, please. If Andrew Knapp would like to, that's fine. Talk about that, please.
So, motion to approve the tentative agenda as amended.
Second. I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
You all have to wait and have your photo taken.
Photo.